Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kyle. Whatever you didn't remember, you remembered it really well. That was a great song. How is everybody today? Raise your hand if you enjoyed that song. Is that meaningful to you? How about the meditation? How many of you gathered some inspiration or awareness or good feelings from the meditation energy? So the title of the talk today is Guilt and Worry Free to Truly See and Receive. So I want to talk about the second part first. Over this course of the last few weeks, we've had themes. This month has been about vision and intention. Last week, Mavis Curry beautifully talked about the greater awareness of being able to truly see. And that starts with being able to know me, know that I can be the greater me inside. That's one of the things that I got out of listening to her message. So to truly see, I need to get honest with myself. I need to put aside all the presumptions and concepts, of which we'll talk about in a minute, with guilt and worry and so on. But I really need to step back and just take a look at who am I and what do I really want that is something that is different or than maybe anybody else wants for me, anybody else thinks of me. How many of you find yourself sometimes tempering, going after the things that are really deep inside the heart because of the way it might be perceived by somebody else? Does that ever affect you sometimes? Cause it to temper just a little bit? So I had a good friend of mine, we were chatting yesterday, I was talking about certain things. He says, well, Paul, he says, if you really want to do that, he said, you need to step away from this environment, step away for a moment from your loved ones, and just totally be here, just here inside. Get back to that essence of being that soul in a physical body, if you will, that was born with pure, unadulterated joy and enthusiasm. You cried, you pooped, you went to sleep, but you did it enthusiastically. You're going to get a chance in a few minutes to hear from some of our wise ones that continually populate and grow and expand in our center in just a few minutes to see that. And they're going to be demonstrating to you the power that we all have if we would just put it all together, organize ourselves in this way, feel it in this way, and be able to take action on it. How many of you find that you get 100% of everything you want? How many of you would say you're above 50? Okay? Anybody above 60 or 70? So we're all successful, right? Just because it's maybe not 100 doesn't mean that we're not successful. We're 50% successful if we just wake up in the morning and we take a breath. You have to be successful to keep this physical body here, right? There's a lot of stuff going on out there. There's traffic, out in the marathon today. Had to navigate that, right, Kyle? Had to be successful, navigating through the environment. So we need to stop and give ourselves credit, for what we do. True? Give ourselves a little love feast or a little self-hug. Stand in front of the mirror, just say, hey, Paul, you're a great guy. Yeah, way to go, dude. But some of us get shy about all that. We kind of get sophisticated and we get adultish. We enjoy the colors with Dan, during the day, but we do that for 1 minute and then we get back into the rat race of, right? So most of us need to take a little bit more time. A little bit more time to see the goodness that we have accomplished, the goodness that we are already. Does that make sense? How many of you buy that 100%? How many of you aren't quite sure that you're like 90%, 80%? Is there any reason why not to go after that? Go after the joy and the divinity of who we really are? So that's the first step, is stepping back and acknowledging who I am, where I've come from, where I want to go, and here's the second part, to be able to truly receive all of that. If you think about the definition of receive, among other things, to accept, to bring in, to be a part of. Now, most of us are taught in life that it's better to give than to receive. That's our general society. That's our religious view of things, that it's better to be our brother's keeper. But if it's at the expense of my own well-being, who's gaining from that? If I'm helping everybody else, but I'm sick in bed, is that helping anybody else? It is to a point, but then if I'm sick in bed, I can't continue to help everybody else, right? So there has to be a certain loyalty inside of myself to receive the energy that's the goodness for me. So do any of you ever have thoughts like, I'm not sure that I deserve this? Anybody ever have that? Ever have those thoughts of, well, I'm not sure that, what if, all those kinds of things that begin to impact us to keep us from really bringing in that energy fully 100%. We always get diverted into something else and sabotage it. So I want you to close your eyes right now, take a deep breath, and whatever it is that you can imagine that you are seeing or intending to do, imagine that that's happening. See, feel, know, and understand that that goal or that intention is a reality. It is taking place. Breathe that in. Accept the abundance of it. Feel good with that. And come on back. Let's have a couple people share how that felt to you. Kimberly, how did that feel to you?
I always love the opportunity to center and just check in with my higher self and with universal self, and make that connection.
Right, thanks. Chris, how about you? What did you experience with that?
Well, it felt really good, and of course I have problems with the negative popping up all the time, but that gave me more strength to deal with it.
All right, so part of the beautiful opportunity to be at the Unity Center each Sunday and all the other events that we have that you see posted out there on the wall is it gives us a chance to stay in that. It gives us a chance to keep connected with like-minded people and like-minded energy so that we reinforce ourselves to be able to have that inflow and the outflow, to be able to allow us to feel the joy of that abundance that we truly are. And again, in a minute, you're going to see a demonstration of what we can really accomplish if we really take to heart what Chris and Kimberly were talking about and make that not just a practice, but a lifestyle of energy. Being in the energy of the divine aspect of who I really am is a lifestyle. It's a way of living each day. Each breath that I take is that divine energy. It's beautiful. You need to accept it and breathe it in. Do any of you ever feel short of breath? Or you lose your breath? Cohen does back there, Cohen. Which one is it, Cohen? You lose your breath or you get short of breath? You lose your breath. Now, so let me see the rest of you. How many, honestly, sometimes you lose your breath? It's good to acknowledge that because then you can take steps to change that. So where is it in my life that I am losing out on what is coming towards me? that leads me to the second part of this talk, guilt and worry. Does anyone experience that at all? Would you like me to stop asking stupid questions? All right. Those are two diseases spiritually. They're spiritual diseases that permeate our lives, and it's out in the environment all the time. And we're all so sensitive that a lot of times we pick up those things that are around us, and we don't even realize that we have a molehill of that. But because we're intuitive, because we feel things and know things, we create the mountain out of that molehill. But do you all recognize that? Does that make sense? How many of you feel things? Or you know things, but you don't know how you know that? We're all aware, we're all sensitive or psychic or whatever you want to call that. We all do that all the time. But I can't blame the outside. I have to take responsibility for what my piece of the molehill is. So I want to read you a couple of things. The definition of guilt. Feelings of deserving blame, especially for imagined offenses or from a sense of inadequacy. Anybody experience that? Some synonyms: contriteness, contrition, penitence, regret, remorse, rue, self-reproach, shame. God, the whole aura of the center just went just by reading those words. So if I'm having any of that, it means that guilt is undermining the visions of what I have. It tempers me from taking that full step forward. I'll take one step forward and then I'll go back one step. It means that somehow I'm still living in the past, and that is a killer. Make sense? So here are some thoughts and ideas. The shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I should have done that. Yeah, you hear it all around, right? Or you say it to yourself. I wish I had. If only I had. I could have, and so on. Or those self-reproaching ideas. Boy, I really screwed that up. Shame on me. I have again, one of my friends. He makes a mistake. He goes, wow, that was great. I did that really good. That's one of the best things that I have ever screwed up. He has a positive attitude about his messes. I love La La Land. La La Land, I don't know if you remember that song in La La Land where she's talking about her grandmother. She's singing about her grandmother. And she said, here's to the messes we make. How about if we just start feeling good about the fact that we're alive and that we're given a shot? Some of the cliches that you hear out in business. Fail your way to the top. Make mistakes, learn, grow, expand. And a lot of people that are very, very successful in business, if I interviewed all the business owners here, I'll guarantee you that they will say, boy, did I screw up. Boy, did this change. Boy, did I learn from that. But if they're living in the guilt of that, they're not going to do anything to go forward with that. And you've heard me in my talks before at times say, if you want to gain, I think I said this 2 weeks ago, if you want to gain value from the experiences that you have, including all of the messes that you make, just take a look at what did I learn from that? And what can I do differently next time? That's all solution-oriented. Because if I'm not part of the solution, guess what? I'm part of the problem. I'm not taking time to step out of it and move forward and take a look at something different. So that guilt energy will create that that hunch that we to put the weight on our shoulders, it'll create that feeling of depression. In the USA Today a few years ago, there was an article, and medicine is starting to do this more and more and more, and in the years to come, you're going to start seeing the direct tie into all of it. And it's going to be a mainstream idea. Here's the article's title: Depression Linked to Diabetes. Now imagine that. You're more depressed, you're more prone to what the energy of diabetes is all about. So they'll start to show all these, what links to cancer, what links to this, what links to heart. It's all going to begin to show up in a very profound way. And those of you that are spiritual coaches, you're going to be in more demand because people are going to want to know how to work with that. But that's the idea of what happens with guilt. Let's talk about what happens with worry. Here are some thoughts about worry. To harass by tearing, biting, or snapping. Anybody experience that? Colin, you keep raising your hand to all these things. Okay. To shake or pull at with the teeth, like a terrier worrying a rat. To touch or disturb something repeatedly. And you keep taking the scab off of the wound, you won't let it heal. To subject to persistent or nagging attention or effort. To afflict with mental distress or agitation. So, synonyms: alarm, bother, concern, derail, discomfort. It's another psyche disease, spiritual disease, to worry about the future. Because that means that I'm also still living out there. I'm not here in the present. So, what do you worry about? Anybody, what do you worry about? Money. What about money? Who's that? Lots of it. What's the worry? What's the worry, Christy? I don't know if Kathy got that. Christy said, I won't have enough and everything will go to hell, and et cetera, right? What's another one? What do you worry? What's a worry thought? Health. What about health? That my health is going to deteriorate. Okay? What's another one? Colin, you got one? Okay. Anybody else? So those are those kind of, gosh, what if this happens? Or gosh, what if this doesn't happen? Or gosh, in other words, I start standing still and I'm here and I'm not acting on the very thing that I'm worried about. So again, it goes back to, what do I see for myself? What do I want to receive for it? Give you a hint about money. Get an envelope, label it, whatever the goal is, like a trip to Paris, label that, and put it out in front of you. The intention that you have put something down that you want, and you've allowed a little receptacle to receive something, it's amazing how it magnetizes. So I don't have to worry. All of a sudden, I'm starting to put $1. I just put my extra change in there. Susan and I do that with our change. We fill up these jars that I took it. I thought, well, there's an awful lot of pennies in here. I don't know how much, probably $5 or $10. Had $47 in this one jar, about like that, just because we were doing something with the whole thing. I have to tell a story about Susan. She was committed to doing a retreat every month at our conference center down in Osceola. And at that time, we lived in St. Louis. And this was a particularly rough week. She was working full on. I was on a workshop tour, so I was away. It was getting to that point of going to the retreat. This is the final 8th month. Girls, I just don't think that I can go. They took over. Mom, you just keep doing what you're doing. We'll pack the car. We'll get everything ready. We'll get in there. All you have to do is bring the keys, drive the car. All of a sudden, the worry was gone. The kids did what they said they were going to do. They went up, and they had the very best time of all. It was the best month ever. And the reason why the kids were so enamored about doing that is because, and they told her, Mom, every time we go to Iowa and you go to that retreat, the whole house is happier afterwards. They had incentive. They had awareness of what they really wanted to do with it. So if we can let go of the worry, the guilt, and just be here for a moment and allow ourselves to move forward with that one step at a time. Don't try and eat that. How's what they say about how to eat an elephant? One piece at one spoonful at a time. It's hard to eat the whole elephant all at once. You have to take it a step at a time. That helps alleviate some of the worry too. So with that, I want to let you experience just a little bit about what the wise ones here have to say about all that. So can I have Ava, Elsie, Molly, Cohen, and Sully on up here? Let's give them a hand. Come on up, guys. Let's line up right here. Future leaders of America. Okay, starting with, Molly, there you go, climb right in the line there. Okay, we're going to go down the line. What's one thing that you envision for yourself or you can imagine that you would like to do in your life? What's one thing? Elsie?
To be an engineer.
Okay. What's one thing?
Help stop world hunger.
Okay. Molly?
To stay on the swim team for all 4 years of high school.
There we go. All right. Sully?
Try and get a good grade all around in my school so I have ability to do lots of things in the future.
What's one thing you'd like to do in the future?
Real estate.
All right. You taking notes, Mom and Dad? Mom, taking notes? Yeah. Cohen, how about you?
I want to have a good job.
And what would that job look like? What could you imagine that job might be?
I don't really know. Just having a nice job.
Okay.
Something that I enjoy or I feel like I want to do.
Okay. Does that feel good, just to think about that? Okay. All right, back to all of you again. Now that you've said something that you want, what's one thing that you could do right now that might be a first step or even a little tiny step to help you get that? Let's start back again with Elsie.
Study hard.
How are you going to do that? What's one thing you'll do to practice studying harder?
Watching less TV.
How many of the rest of you could get what you want by doing a little bit of that? Okay, look, you're not alone in that. Okay, Molly, how about you? What's one thing that you could do for that swim team goal?
Go to off-season practices.
Go off-season practices? Okay. And Ava, how about you?
Volunteer at meals at the Heartland whenever they do it.
What does it feel like when you do that?
I feel like I'm making a difference just by every scoop of what food you put into each bag.
Okay. How about you, Sully?
Staying determined, even though I might not like most of this stuff, especially math. I just continue to do it, and eventually I will get through what I am attempting to do.
It's good. So it's like a positive attitude, right? And commitment. They say that the definition of commitment is continuing to do the thing that you originally talked about and were enthusiastic about long after the enthusiasm has waned. It's commitment, right? There you go, Sully. Cohen, how about you? What's one thing you can do for that great, enjoyable, wonderful job?
Work harder in school.
What's one thing that you could do in school that would help you to work harder?
Get all A's on tests and whatever I do.
And so what's one step that would help you get better A's?
Focusing harder and doing more in the work.
Okay. All right. There you go. Less video games, maybe a little bit? Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah, okay. All right, you guys stay here for just a minute because we're going to do that fun demonstration, right? Okay. All right. Okay. So how many of you, even in the simple, beautiful things that they said, learned something for yourself from all that? Does that shift your paradigm about how you think about yourself? About what you want? Anybody here over 50? Another dumb question, I'm sorry. How many of you have thought, now I can decide what I really want to do now that I'm grown up? Right? Now I'll really figure it out, right? Well, you have all that wisdom of those 50 plus years. You've made the messes. You've learned from those. Well, let's apply it and overlay it onto the things that we want. Things that we want to do. Take the lid off. Let the dream open up. Sprout big giant wings. Let it loose and let it fly. Okay, we need Hillary. Come on up. All right, ladies. Now you guys stand right over here. And when we count, you're going to count with us, okay? You're going to give us energy. All right. Now we go sit up there. Now we practice this a little bit. Yeah, go over there on that side. Okay, so let's, even though we practice, let's just show them the whole thing that we did downstairs just so they can kind of get the idea of it. Okay. Okay, so now let's try it the way we practice. Okay. Now we're going to practice one time. Okay? All right, here we go. Ready? Now you guys count with me. Count the pen real loud and real strong. All right? Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. Okay, now this time, right down, right back up, don't stop. Right up she goes, and we'll put it back down as gently as we can on the floor. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Right up she goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Hillary, was that an uplifting experience for you?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Exhilarating.
Okay. And Ava, what was it like to do that?
It was really fun.
What did that show you?
That when you put a little more enthusiasm and belief in it, you can do it.
Okay. And Molly, how about you? What was that like for you?
It was surprising.
And what does that show you? Why did that work?
Because we believed we could do it.
Okay. And how about you, Elsie? What did that mean to you?
It was just like mind-blowing that we could do it just with two fingers.
8 fingers, right?
Yeah.
And what does that show you about your life?
If you work together, you can achieve it.
Teamwork, huh? Some leadership, some organization. Colin, what did you observe there? Why did that work?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. There you go. Sully, how about you? Anything you observed?
Well, I was very extremely confused as to what you were attempting to do until you lifted her off the chair.
And then you got it.
And then I got it.
And so what does that tell you about your life?
Well, you just put determination and enthusiasm, energy into it. It can be done.
So the A's, the best job, swim, engineer, feed the world, that can all actually happen if we do some of that, right? So here's the message, everybody. If we put all of our resources into it, our thoughts, our heart, our common sense, our intuitiveness, our inner guidance, spirit, knowing, seeing clearly what we want, going after that, we make something outwardly that seems difficult, something that's very, very easy to do. And that's the potential that all of us have to truly see and also receive. Let's give these guys a hand. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Hillary, for being a great sport. Thanks for letting me share with you. You guys have a super wonderful rest of the day. Go out, live long and prosper, whatever Spock says on Star Trek. Enjoy your life. Thank you so much.